Spider-Man No Way Home is days away and I am so excited. I can't believe it's officially coming out this week. After all the trailers, leaks, and so much more, it's finally about to arrive. The possibilities for this film are endless. It's the final film to the Homecoming trilogy while having many generations of Spider-Man all onto one screen. Spider-Verse is finally here in live action. And just thinking about Tom, Andrew, and Toby sharing the same screen together is just mind-blowing. Not gonna lie, I'll probably have a major nerd attack if I see all three of them in the theater at the same time. That's just completely mind-blowing. While I am excited for this film, the more I think about it, the more I am concerned. Let me explain.
With me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination.
I don't want to be worried about this film. I just want to go into this movie thinking I'm about to see one of the greatest moments ever as a Spider-Man fan. But as a Spider-Man fan, and a fan of all three versions of these Spider-Men, I do have a lot of concerns, and there are so many red flags. Let's address the first major red flag, which is the amount of characters that will be in this film. Now, I know that's what most fans are excited about going into the movie, but there are some serious concerns when you have so many characters like this. Now, we don't officially know how many characters will be in this film, so let's start with the characters that are confirmed. You have Tom Spider-Man, MJ, Ned, Doctor Strange, Aunt May, Happy, Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, Electro, Sandman, and the Lizard. Then add the rumored characters that are supposedly supposed to be in this film, which some of them are Tobey's Spider-Man, Andrew's Spider-Man, MCU Daredevil, Charlie Cox Daredevil, same thing. Mysterio, Venom, Miles Morales, and Scorpion, possibly even more Spider-Man, like Spider-Gwen or whatnot. There's a ton of rumors when it comes to this film. Everybody and their mother has been rumored to be in this film. Now, just with the confirmed characters alone, that's a lot of characters. Then add the rumored characters, which granted, I'm not sure all of the rumored characters will be in the film, but I can 90% guarantee that at least some of the rumored characters will be in the film. That's a lot of characters that are stuffed into a 2.5 hour movie in the final film of a trilogy. So they're going to have to wrap up the Homecoming trilogy in a satisfying way while shoving all of these characters in the film while having to give them satisfying stories and arcs. Also, they need to be careful on how they handle some of these characters from the other Spider-Man franchises. A lot of fans are very sensitive with how these characters are supposed to be portrayed, so they have to make sure these characters are consistent to how they were in previous films. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of anger directed towards this film if characters are not handled properly. Also, if in any way they kill off Toby or Andrew, then they are going to have to be prepared for a lot of backlash, and this movie might be another Last Jedi situation where you have the fan base divided on how they handled certain characters, and I really don't think the people that are making this movie want that. For me, if they kill them off in a disrespectful way, then it will leave a bad taste in my mouth, I'm not going to lie. I hope John Watts can handle a movie this big, because he has a lot on his plate when it comes to this film. That's another thing that's concerning to me is, can he execute something this massive while making an actual good film? Like, guys, it's exciting to see all of these familiar faces back. Let's not forget, this is the finale of the Homecoming trilogy, and it needs to be a good send-off to this MCU Spider-Man trilogy, and good setup for the next MCU Spider-Man trilogy. Now, with me, I'm already bothered that the end of the Homecoming trilogy will be a Spider-Verse movie, which is completely not what was supposed to be the final film of the trilogy. Now, I loved Spider-Man Homecoming. I felt the setup from that film was going to make this MCU Spider-Man trilogy the best set of Spider-Man movies ever. But unfortunately, Far From Home completely dropped the setup from Homecoming, and No Way Home is going in an even different direction from the original setup that the high school Homecoming trilogy was supposed to be. I also have some serious problems with Peter's identity being exposed, which is going to be a main part of No Way Home. But it looks like that will be reversed by the end of the film, I believe. I don't know. I didn't like that idea from the comics, and I'm not sure if it's going to be a good idea in the film. I guess I have to get over it because it's going to be in this film. Go back and watch Homecoming. There's no signs that this trilogy was leading up to a Spider-Verse movie. This was supposed to be a high school trilogy, and we hardly saw him in actual high school. I don't want to get into that conversation right now of the wasted potential that this trilogy had, but it's a shame that we hardly got to see him in high school, and he's going to be in the 12th grade, his final year of high school, in this film, and we're probably hardly going to see him in actual high school taking place with him hanging out with his friends. It looks like in the trailer he will be in high school for a little bit, but that's about it. Then we're going to go into full-blown Spider-Verse stuff. Speaking of the trailer, this trailer makes the film look rushed with weird inserted lines of dialogue, and you know what? This film was rushed, which is another major red flag I have. The amount of evidence to support this claim is crazy. First off, this film was supposed to be a Kraven's Hunt film. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but originally there were a ton of rumors that Spider-Man 3 was going to be about Kraven and him hunting down Spider-Man. Then you have Tom Holland speaking about what this film was supposed to be as well. And he said in some interviews that Kraven was originally supposed to be in this film, which just supports that claim even more. You also have the Spider-Man 2 video game made by Insomniac, which is having Kraven as the main villain, and if you've been paying attention to those video games tie into the movies in some way, shape, or form, probably because Sony tells them to, and it's probably some sort of deal that they have. This Spider-Verse stuff came out after Sony and Marvel renegotiated to keep Spider-Man in the MCU, so they did not have a lot of time to rewrite from a Kraven's Hunt movie into a Sinister Six Spider-Verse movie. Like, here's some of these lines from the trailer, which sounds like it took them 5 minutes to write, and it probably did.
I'm sorry to bother you, sir.
Please, we saved half the universe together. I think we're beyond you calling me sir.
Okay, Steven.
That feels weird, but I'll allow it.
Don't cast that spell. It's too dangerous.
Fine.
I won't. Botch that spell where you wanted everyone to forget the Peter Parker Spider-Man. We started getting some visitors.
What's your name again?
Dr. Otto Octavius.
Wait, no, seriously, what's your actual name?
There are others out there. We need to send them back. So, Scooby-Doo this crap.
You know, all this is kind of your mess. I know a couple of magic words myself, starting with the word please.
Please, Scooby-Doo this crap.
Hello, Peter.
Do I know you?
You think your fancy new suit's gonna save you? Looks like we got competition. You're not Peter Parker.
I am so confused right now.
Then to make things worse, you have Tom saying they were writing on the spot, which is not a good sign. Plus, Tom was talking about how actors weren't even signed on to the film yet as they were shooting, which is just insane to me. But Sony loves to interfere with things, so this film is looking more and more like it's going to be a big cash-grabbed, rushed film, which will be a very big shame. I am so mixed with emotions when it comes to No Way Home. There are some positives I have been hearing and seeing, like in the trailer, it really looks like they are taking some things more seriously, unlike the previous film, which had a lot of fluff and lighthearted crap that took away from a lot of emotional scenes in the last film. There seems to be more weight to this film, which I do really appreciate, and that does get me excited because we now know that Spider-Man is getting more mature as he's growing up, which is how it's supposed to be from the comics. Also, Tom has come out and stated this is not going to be a fun film, which also gets me a bit excited to me because I want to see Spider-Man be a bit more serious as he's getting older, and this would be a perfect opportunity to have some serious scenes, maybe have someone die. It would be cool to see Peter's growth from another death, and that's what it's like in the comics. Peter has to go through the parts of growing as a character and dealing with death and dealing with real life problems, because Spider-Man is a relatable character. I would say he's the most relatable character out of any superhero in comic book history. That's just my opinion. I just feel like him dealing with death and him dealing with loss would be a very important moment to see him grow more as an individual and as a character. Hopefully the trailers are not using a lot of the real footage that comes from the film, like that Scooby-Doo cringe line. Hopefully it won't be in the film. I hope this film somehow delivers and gives us some beautiful moments with some fan service moments, but at the end of the day, I want a good film that has a lot of heart put into it with a good story for the end of the Homecoming trilogy.